Welcome to Supply Chain Management and Introduction. In this video, we discuss two different topics. The first one is the interrelation of supply chain and marketing, and the second one will be the supply chain structure using two examples, the Coca-Cola company and the Fast Track company. So logistics and marketing are interrelated very closely, actually, even if you think that they are such different departments. Marketing places emphasis on customer satisfaction, but logistics facilitate place, price, product, and promotion. Let's look this more in detail. Logistics facilitate place in the sense that it provides the product at the right time, in the right quantity, and in an undamaged condition, and also at the right price, so in a cost-efficient manner. You can recognize here the 7 R's we've discussed in previous videos. Logistics also facilitates product, determining inventory level, order quantities, reorder points, production planning, etc. And finally, logistics facilitates promotion, specifically the availability of product to avoid stockouts. A promotion usually means an increase in demand, that's why we promote an item. But if this increase in demand is not forecast appropriately, if marketing does not inform logistics of it, or supply chain more in general, then the product will not be available to be sold. So achieving customer satisfaction requires real close collaboration between logistics and marketing. Extra costs are incurred if logistics and marketing are not aligned. I cannot emphasize this more. A company needs extra inventory to support a marketing promotional activity, and if it's not communicated to supply chain on time, the inventory might not be available, and a company has to incur more cost to make sure that the inventory arrives at short notice, but that is quite expensive. And because a promotion usually already involves extra costs like advertisement or a reduction in price, then this can be actually very costly and unprofitable promotion for the company. There often is a mismatch in communication between marketing and supply chain, and that is due to the fact that the two departments have different priorities. Here comes back the concept that in any department you work, you will need to know what the other department do and what drives them so that you can work with them more effectively. Marketing is focused on revenues, while supply chain on cost. And this comes together in this very simple accounting formula, very simplified, right? Where profits are actually the result of total sales, so of the revenue the marketing generates, minus the total expenses, so the cost, which are managed by supply chain. If the two don't work well together, a company might no longer be profitable. So the communication between sales and marketing and supply chain is critical to a company's financial well-being. So if you're in management or finance, you really need to know how these two departments work together, or they're not working together. Moving on to the second topic, we're talking now about the supply chain structure. Some of the words are coming back to you from previous videos, and here we're trying to make more sense of it. So a supply chain structure is a diagram similar to this one. This is just a simplified example of it's a diagram of all the entities, all the organizations that are involved in all the way from the sourcing of materials to the delivery of the final product to the end user. Let's look more in detail exactly what we're discussing here. In the middle, we have a focal firm. Right here, remember, we're talking about the transformation activity, our operations. So let's imagine that this is a factory that's producing a certain item. This factory will be receiving inputs or materials from first-tier suppliers. First-tier suppliers usually are suppliers that deliver an already partially manufactured, or at least some transformations already occurred to a product. They already did some transformation to this product themselves, and they therefore provide sort of like, for example, a component to the factory that the factory can then assemble. But these suppliers can therefore have their own suppliers, we would call them second-tier suppliers, that delivers to them the raw materials. Raw materials would be non-transformed items such as water, oil, so raw materials. You can also have second-tier suppliers that ship directly their raw material to the focal firm. So it is possible to have these straight lines going through and skipping the first-tier suppliers. And all this movement of product would be part of the inbound logistic because it is inbound into the focal firm, into the factory. And this is part of the materials supply channel. On the other end, we would have the outbound logistics or the physical distribution channel. And that is when the factory has made a product and is ready to be shipped out to the customers. But the customer might have their own customers. So here, as you have, that's why you can see different buckets. You have first-tier customers like wholesalers, and wholesalers might ship to retailers, and retailers might ship to end customers. So there can be different layers on the downstream here on the outbound logistics part of the supply chain. And every company has its own supply chain structure. It might look quite different. Let's look at an example. This video will show you what a supply chain of Coca-Cola looks like. Okay, I hope that this has given you a better idea of what a supply chain structure can look like for a company. And to help you understand better some of the terminology, especially of downstream and upstream, I want to use this metaphor of a river for you to remember this concept. Now, a stream is another word in English for river. A river, right, flows from the mountains up top here all the way to the oceans. Now, what we can, the way we can look at this is as if in the middle is our factory, somewhere in the middle of the river. And this factory would receive product, the inputs, right, from their suppliers. So the suppliers would be at the source on the top of the mountain, and everything that flows towards the factory would be inbound, would come into the factory. And they would then flow outbound toward the ocean, so toward the customers. And if you look at the supply chain as a river, you can see that everything that moves from suppliers in the direction of the customers flows downstream, but everything that would be possibly returned from customers towards the supplier in that direction would then move upstream. So I hope that this metaphor will help you with recognizing the terminology that we use in supply chain. All right, now you will do an exercise. We have a business case for the Fast Track company. If you remember, they are a bike manufacturer. I would like you to read this business case and then start to draw and map the Fast Track supply chain structure. So identify the suppliers and the customers and see how the product flows among them. Pay attention to the direction of the arrow that indicate the flow of the product. And you don't need to worry about companies that are not indicated in the case. Just focus on what's in the case. Try to jot it down, and then we'll work more on it in class together. In this video, we talked about the interrelation of supply chain and marketing, how important it is, and about the supply chain structure. As a final knowledge check, this is a bit complicated. We're talking about all these definitions here, all this terminology on the left. Can you actually match it with the right number in this diagram of a supply chain structure?